Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show, home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. This episode, Auld Syne. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros Radio Show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation. This edition is entitled Auld Syne, a discussion about Guy Lombardo. Oh, no, wait. It's a discussion about planning for the new year. To help me explain, I'm here with my ever-cheerful co-host and old buddy, John. John, what's been going on this last week of the year?
Hey, Larry. Well, it is the last week, and we're just kind of cleaning up the year, and I think we're going to be talking about a few things here as we move into next year. So pretty exciting stuff coming up.
I know it's 2020. Can you believe it?
Unbelievable. It goes faster and faster, doesn't it?
Yes.
So,
folks, for those of you out there who are younger, speaking of that, right? If you're younger, you know how they say time accelerates? It does work. It does work that way. Yeah, it's true. Time flies. Yeah. It's crazy. But
right.
Anyway.
But anyways, with the new year, I get a do-over.
That's right. We get a do-over. You think?
Right. Yeah.
Well, anyway. So, John, what are we talking about today?
Well, we're going to talk about, a couple of, as we wrap up this year, let's talk about a few highlights that we had this past year, and then we'll move into the new year. And I think everybody, just kind of say thank you for all of our listenership.
Yeah, we launched this podcast in the middle of September of 2019, and we really want to thank you. If you've been a regular listener, we know we get off on tangents sometime, but I have to tell you, we really appreciate the fact that you listen. We try to make this very enjoyable. I think. Do you agree with that, John?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we really we value the feedback that you've been giving us, and we hope to have more of that. Especially with any other ideas that you have that you'd like to discuss.
Yep.
Please send that to us at handymanprosradioshow.com.
Yep, it's contact at Handyman Pro. Anyway, it's on the website at handymanprosradioshow.com.
Yep.
You can just hit the contact page and we'll go from there. But yeah, we really do that. This in the shows that we've done, we're just kind of recapping some of the highlights. We've talked about wood rot repair, and we did a pretty good session on wallboard repair. John did a great thing on taping up for getting ready to paint. We talked about sheds, about hiring a handyman.
Yeah. That was quite popular, actually.
Pretty good one, yep. We've talked about tools and a whole lot more. So, again, we really welcome the feedback that y'all have given us. And if you do have more comments and contents and things you'd like to hear about, please don't hesitate to contact us.
And I'll tell you, it was enjoyable doing some shows from the field.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's always been good to do that. And I hope everybody out there, I know that you're not seeing it. But
is that true? Didn't we shoot some videos in the field?
We did. That's right. We did.
So
and it's on YouTube.
Yeah, they're out there on YouTube. We did post those on the website as well. So if you want to see
more of that, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Yeah, we're going to do more of that. We really like doing those shows from the field, and we will do more videos. It's obviously talking about handyman processes and about things you're doing around your house. It's very helpful to have actual visual techniques and things like that. It's just, for us, it's kind of hard to get out there and do the editing and actually get time away from not doing jobs to actually shoot video. So anyway, just little technical things, but we're going to get there. What are some of the other things we're going to have coming up this year, John?
Well, I think one of the things we might, we'll talk about that in a minute. I wanted to just ask you about, one of the tips and tricks that you kind of were just talking to me about before the show began, and that was, putting together a home maintenance log.
Yeah, a log. Yeah. So, here, one of the things when we say save you time, money, and aggravation, we're all about kind of actionable tips and tricks, right? So one of the things that I've got rental properties, and then I've got my own personal residence as well. And what I've done, this has been really successful for me. It's a compilation of all the items of things that go on in my houses, in the various different houses, and I keep it all in one place. And what it is I call it a home maintenance log or whatever. There's an article published on the website about building your own home maintenance log, about what to include and things like that. But beginning of the year is a great time to start this or update this information that you have. So we have everything that's relevant to the house is in that folder, and it includes things like the manuals for the appliances. So I've got the dishwasher manual in there and things, and do I ever really look at it? No, not necessarily. I tell you, when you need parts, you need the UPC code on it. John, we talk about one other thing, right? About paint codes, right?
Yeah, that's right. One of our other shows we were talking about that, but just to kind of recap that was that, always keep a paint code. Your paint codes. They always stick them these days on the top of your can.
Yep. Shoot a picture of it.
Shoot a picture of it and put it in a file somewhere. I've got mine called paint, or outside of the house or whatever it might be.
Yeah, log where it goes.
But log where it
goes. Room by room.
Because inevitably you're going to cover that thing with paint, so you might as well do it right there in the store.
So
but then you've got it. So if you ever go back and maybe 2 years from now, you don't have to worry about digging out that old can anymore, which you probably tossed anyways.
Right. Those go in my folder, right? So I print that picture, I stick it in the folder. It says room by room. It says bedroom, bedroom 1, and it's got whatever the paint code is. It's usually agreeable gray or anyway, whatever.
Pink.
Pink. I'll just leave that one. But we do that. I keep everything. I actually draw diagrams of the house. I have a picture of where the water shutoffs are in the houses. And I do that because that came out of being in the rental business. Somebody said, how do I shut the water off?
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And I actually mark where is the water shut off out on the street as well. So there's the water shut off in the house and the water shut off on the street. We keep track of that. We keep all of the, things like the utility companies, like who, and the account numbers are in that folder. It's just another resource. It's a place for you to compile all of the factors of your house. And believe it or not, and would you agree with me on this one, John? There's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, there's a lot of things that you kind of have to have accessible when you need it. Do you agree with that?
No, absolutely. And I have everything electronically stored away. I'm just that guy, and I try to do the same thing. I also scan all of the user and maintenance manuals I get with my appliances and everything else.
Oh, so you've got it all electronic.
Always.
All electronic, yeah.
Because I never know what's going to happen to those things, whether they get thrown out, lost, or whatever, but I always put them away somewhere electronically in a folder somewhere, and I always have them. So it's
just an actionable tip and trick. And at the beginning of the year, it's just kind of one of those things. I update mine kind of on an as-needed basis at this point, but if you haven't created one, beginning of the year is a perfect time of year to do it.
Absolutely. It's a great time of year to do it. Yep. I mean, especially after the holidays when you get new gifts, things like that. It even extends to things like that. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I snap pictures or I scan that stuff and I put it away in a folder.
When I was in your liquor cabinet the other day, there's these lines on the bottles. Is that something that you do normally or what?
That's just for my kid.
I thought that was inventory control. Anyway, as he's pulling them out as we stand here making the recording, we never digress, but we certainly do have a good time.
Speaking of Auld Lang Syne.
Speaking of Auld Lang Syne, that's right. That's exactly it.
We're shaking Mr. Jim Beam's hand over there. So,
should old acquaintance be forgot, or maybe we just drink so much we forget. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, that's just one of my actionable tips is start a home maintenance log. You can do it. Yeah, I do mine in 3-ring folders. I do keep some electronic files as well. Same way, they're organized exactly the same. We publish it out there on the website. It's under how to create a home maintenance log. It gives you kind of a list of all the things that you probably should have in one place. And we appreciate you being here. From the email bag at questions@handymanprosradioshow.com, we received an email from Frank S. Frank has a question about hardwood floors. Frank wants to know, is there a way to remove scratches from a hardwood floor?
Yeah. Hey, Frank, this one can be a little tricky. Depends upon what kind of floor, and I'll kind of describe to you. If you have a site finished floor, that means that the wood has been put down inside your house. Then it has been sanded and stained and sealed with like a polyurethane. If you have a scratch that's in there, that's let's say it's even deep, that there are wax type crayons that they sell that are pretty close to the color, and you can go look at them. You can even mix these colors together, but you can melt them down and take kind of a hot wire and kind of melt them down into that crack and fill it up. The thing that I have done now, once that's accomplished, and if it's not a real deep crack, you can actually get the stain that they stained your floor with and stain and clean that crack out, or the scratch out, and put the stain in there, and the stain will fill itself up in there. Let it sit, let it dry a little bit. And what I've done is I've polyed over that with a little tiny brush. And then to match the poly gloss to the surrounding poly, I've kind of taken a little piece of like Scotch-Brite and just kind of scratched around on the top of it. And so if you have a low gloss floor, you can cut the gloss of it down. If you have a high gloss floor, you could polish that back up. And that seems to work pretty good on a scratch where you can hardly even see it. If you have a floor that has a lot of scratches all over it because of a dog running around or something like that, that's kind of a different story, where you might have to get somebody in there to
actually sand it.
And actually sand it, or what they would do is probably screen it, kind of a less of a sanding, and see if they can't get it down that way, and then recoat it. So those are a couple of options. So you have, to recap, you have some wax pencils that you can buy in a big box store at the hardware store that match. You can mix those together to match. Try filling it with, covering up with a little bit of poly like it used to be, and then the other side of it is you might have to have somebody come in and redo the floor.
It's a bit of degree.
Yep. So there's all kinds of ways. I don't know what kind of scratch you have, but I had one that was kind of a deep one that I actually did myself. that was kind of dumb, and I fixed it. And you can't even tell where it is. And it came out great. So anyways, those are a couple options for you.
Perfect. Well, thanks for sending it in. So, John, I was painting the other day.
Yeah.
And it kind of smelled.
Yeah. So if you're using certain types of paint, it does have a lot of vapors to it. And I'll tell you a story, is that I painted something inside with an outdoor paint. And I did it inside my bath, my shower, actually, the ceiling.
Hey, that makes sense. It's outdoor paint. It's going to be wet location. Works, right?
Right, but did it stink? I mean, my wife, boy, she raised holy heck about that. And I couldn't get rid of the smell no matter what I did. And, one of the things that I heard, so I thought I would try, and I'll pass it along, and it worked, was buckets of water with a bunch of lemons in it and salt. And for whatever the reason, I put I didn't put big buckets in there, and I guess this is an old painter's trick, but I had a bunch of bowls on the counters inside my master bathroom filled with this thing. And I'll be darned if it didn't take the smell out of there within like a day and a half. That must have sucked it all in. I tossed it out. It was wild.
So I was wondering why your lemonade tasted salty. And why was it sitting on the counter in the bathroom? I never really understood that. But that's an... Sorry.
So you're not one of those guys that when you go to a high-class restaurant and they put out a lemon finger bowl, you drink it. That's not you, is it?
You mean you're not supposed to? No, we're just kidding. But no, that's not. So you've actually done that trick, and it actually works.
It worked. It worked like a champ. I couldn't believe it. Now I don't. If we're talking about other smells, and I'll just clarify. This took away paint smells, which is a. You'll see a lot of paint, and you'll see on the side it says low VOC. That's the vapor content that comes off the paint itself.
Right.
Most of the paints these days, and most of all the indoor paints, are very low VOC, and you hardly even smell those things anymore. But for some outdoor paints, especially oil paints and things like that, there's a kind of a higher content. But I'll clarify that worked for paint. If you're going to ask about a skunk smell, I don't know. You can try that. But I've had friends where the dogs have gotten into skunks, and then the dogs come running in to the house with that smell all over them, go rolling around carpets and rolling around couches and beds, trying to get that smell off. And now the smell is everywhere. And I had a friend of mine that had to move out of his house, and it took about 3 months to get rid of that smell.
Ooh, yeah, we're not vouching for that one.
Yeah, so we're not going to vouch for that one.
We're just going to talk about paint. That'll work, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's your actionable tip of the day. So, John, this is a question I think that some of our listeners would be interested in. When we're out there and we're doing any job really, but some of the bigger jobs that we have, we kind of have a little bit of a problem every once in a while. It's what I call taking out the trash.
Taking out the trash, exactly. And that's one thing that it's kind of funny. It gets away from you, doesn't it?
It really does. It's amazing.
One of those things where I can't tell you how many times I wish I had a trash bag with me, and I should have one tied on my
tool belt.
My
tool bag, whatever.
Yeah, with my tools. It's jammed in my tools somewhere. Because I always wind up, looking for, because you're always cleaning up. It's amazing how much of a mess you can make, and you want to leave the site and the customer. Everything's got to be clean.
What?
Yeah.
What's the matter with you? You leave it clean? Oh,
yeah.
You're killing me.
And
But
it really does pile up.
Yep, it's amazing. I mean, even just doing simple things like changing out a faucet or something, it's amazing how much trash is generated. Now, when I do those, I know when I'm going in because I need buckets. I carry a 5-gallon bucket with me. But that bucket always gets filled up and taken out. So let's just talk about the options for getting rid of trash, right? So one of them we just described, right, is trash bags.
Is a trash bag, right?
And I know in my case, I have on my truck, I have the heavy-duty trash bag construction trash bags. Mm-hmm. And they're super thick, they're super strong, and they are super expensive. They're about 50 cents a piece, right?
Yeah.
But you can
put glass in those things that won't poke through.
Glass, metal, all kinds of stuff, and it doesn't poke through. So I really, really like those. I do have some lighter duty trash bags on the truck as well. But that's basically the simplest thing for our smallest jobs. And as you say, I've started walking in with them now because you're right. It doesn't matter what you do. There's always some kind of trash there,
and they don't take up any room.
Not really.
When you walk in with them. So
right.
You just need them with you.
You just need them.
You just stick them in your belt loop or something.
Yeah. So, pretty simple. One of the other things I know I use, like I say, I use a Homer bucket, or just a 5-gallon bucket that I have. I'll take that in, particularly if I'm doing stuff like with water, because it's multi-use, and I can throw it in there and I know nothing gets out of it and onto the floor because I don't want my carpet or whatever I'm working over to get covered with goo,
right?
From whatever I'm taking apart or whatever I'm fixing. It just doesn't matter. When we get to the larger projects, John, what have we been doing? So I have a trailer, right? I have a 5x8 trailer, and if the project is small enough, I will do that. Although getting rid of the trash is then it's a whole separate issue, right? You got to go to the landfill.
It is a major pain. Even with the trailer, we piled up a lot of trash on that trailer on one job.
Yes, we did.
That was a lot of it, and it's just a pain. It works great.
It was 1,700 pounds. Not that I'm counting.
Yeah. I mean, it's great, but I'll tell you, the weight adds up. The junk adds up real quick.
Yeah, really fast. So we've come on a couple of other technologies, quote technologies, we'll call them, right? One is the Bagster Concept.
Right.
And John, explain that one.
Well, you can just go down to the big box store and you could rent a big woven, like a fiberglass type of bag that you pay, I don't know what it is, maybe $30 for, and then you can fill it up, and it's pretty big. And then like Waste Management or something will come by and pick it up for about $150.
Yep. And so and then they take it off the landfill and do whatever it is they do with it.
Yeah.
Pretty good option. Reasonably priced for what you're getting.
Because you actually deliver it yourself.
Right. And right. So it's a pretty good option. The downsides to it are it's not. Well, it's like 3 cubic yards, I think, is what they say can go in those things.
Something like that. I mean, it's enough to do a not a major project, obviously, but something.
You can do a small
minor.
bathroom.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, you can do a small
like
bathroom with
exactly.
it. And then the other option, and we've used this on occasion, right, John? We've gone and we've actually gotten a dumpster.
Yeah, regular dumpster.
Regular old dumpster. And dumpsters just, to kind of get, I was in the trucking business for a long time, come in several different sizes. There's a 10-yard, 20-yard, 30 and 40 and 50 and 60-yard dumpsters. So you kind of have to have an idea of how much stuff you want to get and what you're doing. But those are your options. Dumpster costs are, you have an idea, John? It's about $300. Just depends. Really depends on the size. Mm-hmm. But about $300, maybe $400. Usually the landfills charge by weight. So if you're offloading concrete, you're going to pay more than if you're offloading insulation, for example. Mm-hmm. But usually the companies will charge a trucking charge, and that's usually around $300, just as a general rule, at least here in the South, in the greater Atlanta area. Don't know what it is elsewhere, but just some interesting ideas on how to get rid of trash. Any other tips and tricks there, John?
No, I'll just say this, is that I'll conclude with saying it's, to have a regular dumpster on site when you're doing a big project, it is great.
Really big time saver.
It is just awesome to be able to collect everything and throw it out in a big structured dumpster where you know that it's not going to get blown around. You're not going to have to clean it up 3 or 4 times because of the wind and so on. So it's just great. Then,
and the extent of your effort to get rid of it is
0.
Hello, Johnny.
Right.
Come pick it up.
That's right. Yep. Just make the phone call. Here comes the guy. Boom.
Out, gone.
And
last you see of it. Because I will say, when we did that job on that trailer, not only was it loading the stuff on the trailer, then it was taking it off the trailer.
Taking it off.
And that's, it adds to time. And
absolutely.
We're not getting any younger.
Right.
That's a young man's game. Anything else on trash, John?
That's it.
All right. Thanks for listening. Well, that wraps this show up. And additionally, right, John, that wraps up Season 1.
That wraps up Season 1. And we are excited about Season 2.
What do we have coming up on Season 2?
Well, Season 2 is going to be an exciting year because we've got some new developments that we're going to, and new segments that we're going to bring to the listening audience. And that's going to go, revolve around.
Like what? Are we going to have any guests?
We are going to have guests. Ooh. Oh, yeah. They're going to be interesting guests.
Who do we have lined up?
Well, we're going to have everything from master electricians, master plumbers, to home inspectors.
You had to go there, didn't you, with the master, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. We'll probably be talking to some tiling experts.
We've got some real estate people coming in.
Real estate people,
so
probably flooring.
A little bit of flooring. But real estate, just, tips and tricks on both rental properties and on how to get your home ready for sale and or what things actually matter in the selling department. Right.
And, we'll have some new segments, too. What's in the news? There's a lot of, as we've talked about throughout this past season.
Does that include your arrest records?
That's going to keep those out. That's going to keep that secret.
Just checking.
Those are still under seal. So it's we're going to have some in the news type of segments, and as we talked about this past season, there's a lot of new products out there that you and I, Larry, we both use in repair, and I think everybody's going to find it very interesting of what kind of new products there are, and even advancements in construction
in construction techniques. Yeah.
So you folks out there that are buying your first home, or buying your second home, whatever, you can be aware of all the new type of construction techniques.
Yeah, there's some actually very cool stuff that's coming up. It's some things like, we'll call them insulated studs and things like that we'll do some segments on. Just kind of stuff that we would call these bones type issues that normally you really wouldn't see them, but it's been new, it's new techniques and new things that are really going to matter. So they'll matter long term. Some of the other things that we've got coming up, we will do a bunch of segments on home technology, right, John?
Yeah, well, we're gonna get into that. That's really the new thing. We haven't really touched on it yet. I know everybody's really getting into the smart home type of concept.
Yep.
But there's also a lot of interesting new technology that's out there to mitigate damage in your home should an accident occur.
Yes,
such as
very much so.
watertight meters and shutoffs, and
automatic
things like
water
that.
shutoffs and things like that. Yep.
So
exactly. There are a bunch of different things. We'll talk a little bit about security systems at some point or another, and some of the camera systems that are available, which are really very, very cool. And really relatively inexpensive for the most part.
Right. And we'll give you some tips and tricks on how to install these as well.
That's correct. So all of that is coming up in Season 2, which will be 2020, right?
Yes.
And we're looking forward to it. We hope you've had a good time. If you have any, information you want to give, any comments, any questions, any scathing criticisms, it's all good. Please send us a note, and we'll certainly take your. We're all about you. I mean, we want to do what you want to hear. We want to do. We want to keep it entertaining. We want to keep, as I say, we keep trying to save you time, money, and aggravation. So.
Yeah. Well, and that is true. So with that, I hope everybody has a safe and prosperous New Year.
And we will see you next year. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed this podcast and have derived some value from it, here's 4 things you can do. 1, tell your friends about this podcast. 2, hit subscribe on your podcast player. While you're there, leave us a review. 3, subscribe to our newsletter by going to handymanprosradioshow.com and click on the subscribe button. We'll inform you of upcoming events, shows, and give you actionable tips for maintaining your home and property. And 4, send us an email with your questions to questions@handymanprosradioshow.com. That's handymanprosradioshow.com. That's our show for this week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.